Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 216. The auction ended. 3 months. Xiao Yan was startled when he heard this. He then took a deep look at Jade Fairy. The latter's expression was calm, as if she was not talking about him. Yun who was behind him, heard this and her pretty face turned pale. She looked at Jade Fairy in shock and 2 streams of clear tears instantly flowed down. I know. Nodding his head, Xiao Yan pursed his lips and turned to leave. By the way, you might have a difficult opponent this time. His name is Yin Kang, and he is Yin Jushuan's youngest son. His strength is probably on par with yours. Seeing that Xiao Yan was about to leave, Jade Fairy did not try to stop him. She only reminded him, Yin Kang. Xiao Yan could not help but stop when he heard this name. He quietly waited for Jade Fairy's next words. Seeing that Xiao Yan did not say anything, Jade Fairy sighed and said softly. When I first came here, Yin Kang was able to challenge an ordinary emperor. These few years have passed. With his talent and the great Yin spirit arts that he cultivates, he would probably be able to fight an emperor and escape unscathed. He will definitely participate in this competition. Xiao Yan only nodded slightly when he heard her. He turned around and looked at Jade Fairy. He smiled and said, even if he can really challenge a monarch emperor, I have to win. I am a man, and I have never broken my promise to a woman. With a bright smile, Xiao Yan paused for a moment and said, by the way, please help me find a quiet room. As for the competition, I will be there on time. As he spoke, he had already walked out of Jade Fairy's room. Jade Fairy was slightly startled and nodded towards Yun. The latter hurriedly walked out and led Xiao Yan towards a quiet room. The door slowly closed and Jade Fairy was silent for a long time. The corner of her mouth slowly drew out a smile. In an instant, it was amorous and caused the color of the room to become much dimmer. Ha ha, you really have a manly spirit. After tying her hair behind her head, Jade Fairy lightly smiled. There seemed to be a sense of gratification and gratitude in her smile. Under Yun's lead, Xiao Yan very quickly found a cultivation room in a relatively remote place. This place belonged to the corner of the auction house and normally, no one would come here. After thanking Yun, Xiao Yan entered the room under the latter's encouraging voice. Although the room looked small from the outside, the space inside was still quite big. He casually set up a monarch flame to guard the door before turning his gaze to the room. Xiao Yan sat cross-legged on the bed. He flipped his hand and an exquisite jade bottle appeared in his hand. After opening the bottle, a wave of Origin Monarch Ki caused the Origin Monarch Ki in his body to appear. An aura that caused one's body to boil was slowly emitted. At the same time, due to this aura, Xiao Yan's face quickly flushed red. This jade bottle contained the body-tempering liquid that Li Daoyuan had given him back in Spiritual Sky City with the help of Xiao Yu. When he was at the back mountain of Purple Radiance sect, the body-tempering liquid was given to him by Li Daoyuan. He had only used 1 point to strengthen his body to a certain degree. Now, facing the upcoming battle and Yin Kang who was about to fight, Xiao Yan had no choice but to be fully prepared. Ever since he advanced to the 3 monarch spirit in the Purple Radiance sect, Xiao Yan hadn't made any major breakthrough. However, this didn't mean that his strength hadn't improved at all. On the contrary, after numerous battles, Xiao Yan could clearly feel the violent and boiling of the Origin Monarch Ki in his body. Perhaps, he would receive an unexpected harvest from this breakthrough. Xiao Yan took off his black robe and shirt, revealing his strong upper body. He took a light breath and quickly smeared the body-tempering liquid on his chest. In an instant, a hot feeling came from his chest. In just a moment, it spread throughout his entire body, and the skin on Xiao Yan's upper body instantly turned red. Forcing himself to remain clear-headed, Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes. He formed hand seals with both hands, opening all the acupoints in his body. In an instant, a low buzzing sound came from the room. Numerous Origin Monarch Ki were like visible whirlpools as they wildly surged into Xiao Yan's body. After being catalyzed by the 2 monarch flames, they were transformed into incomparably pure energy. Following the route of the burning spell's meridians, they were constantly injected into the Origin Monarch Crystal. The Origin Monarch Crystal was nourished by the pure energy, and it slightly shook. The Origin Monarch Ki that was being emitted into every part of his body was strengthening his body. The rest of the Origin Monarch Ki followed the special meridians. Slowly, they formed an origin chains that vibrated. As Xiao Yan cultivated deeper and deeper, the room completely boiled up. Although this was not the best place to cultivate, it was better than nothing. In order to have a greater chance of winning the competition, Xiao Yan could only take a step back. Yun stood at the door and waited anxiously. Although she was anxious, she did not dare to go in and take a look. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. She walked around with small steps and soon, more than 10 minutes had passed. Buzz. A bronze sound resounded throughout the entire auction venue. When Yun heard it, her pretty face changed slightly. This sound of the bell signified the end of the auction. After that, it would be the entertaining competition. But to Sister Yu, it was related to her life. She saw that there was still no movement from the door. Yun could not help but feel anxious. She held back the urge to open the door and clenched her fists tightly on her chest. Her small face was full of pity. In the auction hall, the moment the bronze bell rang, Yin Jushuan's face revealed a trace of a smile and he suddenly stood up. He stood tall and straight, and slightly cupped his fist toward the people in the hall. His voice was like a giant bell as he said, "Everyone, the auction has ended. Everyone may have gotten what they want. I will congratulate all of you now. Next, I hope that all of you can move to the Shrouded faction. There is a competition there, although it is just a young man's play, I hope all of you can give me some face." After hearing Yin Jushuan's words, everyone didn't dare to object and politely greeted him. After which, the doors of all the private rooms were opened. Some of the experts, who were wearing black robes or revealing their true faces, all came out. Under the lead of the maids outside the private rooms, they left the auction hall in an orderly manner. Zhao Qingshan's mood was also quite relaxed at this moment. In the previous auction, with his decisive action, he had managed to obtain a treasure that was extremely beneficial to his cultivation. At this moment, he slightly turned his body and said to the handsome youth behind him in a low voice, "This matches the reason I brought you here. With your strength, you can be considered an outstanding person in Myriad Spirit City. In this match, the victor can make a request to Sect Master Yin. Whether or not you can obtain the Great Yin Spirit Arts will depend on your strength." Hearing this, the young man nodded his head heavily. His eyes couldn't help but show a hint of passion. With his strength of 5 Monarch Spirit Warriors, it would be a piece of cake for him to win a match of this level. Why hasn't the mysterious man who slapped the leg bone of the heavenly beast come back yet? When he left, finally, someone realized that Xiao Yan had not returned since he left, and couldn't help but ask. A man beside him laughed strangely when he heard that. He looked at the beautiful maid who led the strong people in the private room forward and a trace of astonishment flashed across his eyes. He said in a low voice, "Hey. It must be because they can't bear seeing such a beautiful maid. These old people sitting in the private room, even if they rape them, they can only obey." Outside the room, Yun finally could not bear it anymore. She took light steps and reached out her hand to push open the door. With a creak, the door opened and Xiao Yan slowly walked out from within. Xiao Yan lightly smiled at Yun and slightly raised his head. His sharp soul force sensed the situation of the entire auction house and the corner of his mouth curled up. Looking at Yun who was full of anticipation, Xiao Yan flicked his finger and softly said, "Let's go to Profound Yin Sect." Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.